may mga offers coming from different countries and even from big pharmaceuticals to work with the Philippines in terms of producing the vaccine. Ang vaccine naman kasi, it will undergo parang expert panel at vaccine expert panel sa DOST. Sila yung namamahala talaga on what type of vaccines are coming in, especially for COVID. At meron naman talagang big parang commitment, no, ang Philippines. If ever we come up with a vaccine production, it has to be there has to be a technology transfer. Of course, developing a vaccine would mean that i-develop pa rin yung FDA natin na capable of evaluating and monitoring and making sure that the vaccines are safe and effective.
Para sa mga kababayan natin, no, para mas maintindihan natin itong malaking problema natin ito. Alam niyo po, ang COVID-19, very, very infectious siya. No? Madali siyang talagang maipasa from person to person. In fact, ang statistics natin, halos 98 to 99% ng mga nahahawa sa COVID-19 ay either mild or asymptomatic. Ngayon, yung 1% na yan, yung sinasabi ni Yusek Bong, yan yung mga moderate, severe, or critical. Yan talaga ang dapat bantayan natin. Kasi ang bottom line nitong lahat, no, para talaga ma-manage natin ang COVID-19, ang dapat talaga na tinitignan natin at binabantayan natin, yung mga kababayan natin dun sa 1% na yon. Kasi in all likelihood, sila talaga yung may tsansa na mamatay dahil sa COVID-19. Yun talaga ang bottom line. Kailangan mapigilan natin o ma-minimize natin ang mga mamamatay dahil sa COVID-19. Kahit na sabihin mo pang 1% lang yan, no, Pilipino pa rin yan, kababayan pa rin natin yan, at kailangan alagaan natin sila. Kailangan ma-manage natin yung mga kasong magiging severe at critical, at maalagaan natin silang mabuti na kahit na maging severe sila o critical sila, hindi sila mamamatay. Mas malaki ang nagiging responsibilidad ngayon ng mga LGU, no? Napakalaki yan. Kasi habang nagbubukas ka ng ekonomiya, marami ng tao sa kalye, marami ng tao sa mga palengke, sa mga mall, etc. Kailangan ma-enforce ng mabuti yung ating health standards. At napaka-importante yung role ng bawat citizen dito. Lalong-lalo na yung dalawang bagay. Unang-una, yung pagsunod ng ating mga kababayan dun sa minimum health standards. Yung pagsusuot ng mask, paghuhugas ng kamay, and pagdi-distance. No, bakit? Hindi lang kasi yon para sa atin eh. Pag nagsuot tayo ng mask, pag naghugas tayo ng kamay, pag nagdi-distance tayo, hindi lang natin ginagawa yon para sa sarili natin. Ginagawa din natin yon para sa mga mahal natin sa buhay. We're doing that for them and not just for us. No? And second, kailangan protektahan natin yung mga vulnerable Filipinos. Sino ba yung mga vulnerable Filipinos? No? Yung may edad na, yung may mga underlying na sakit, at yung mga buntis, no? Vulnerable din sila, no? So, we really have to do our part, and together, kaya naman natin to pero kailangan sama-sama tayo.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome once again to another episode of Online Crashtalkan. My name is Cheska. I am one of your hosts for this evening. Alam kong marami sa atin na nanonood ngayon na bago dito sa aming page. Welcome to Pinas Forward, mga newcomers. Welcome na welcome kayo dito. Papakilala lang ako ng sobrang bilis. Pinas Forward is a nation-building movement, and kung may online trash talkan at rambulan, ang aming online crash talkan naman ay isang safe space para sama-sama nating pag-uusapan ang mga mahalagang isyong kinakaharap natin bilang isang DigiNation. Before we proceed, alam naming marami kayong katanungan at mga opinion sa ating topic today. Kaya iniimbita namin kayong ilabas lahat yan sa comment section. Alright? May admin tayong nagmo-monitor dyan because as I mentioned, this show is a safe space, mga ka-PF. So please be kind and polite para maging makabuluhan naman ang ating diskusyon. Okay, on with the show. I guess everybody is now ready to help me keep this evening light and fun. Please welcome my co-host, James Caraan.
Hello,
Hi,
Cheska.
James. Good evening.
Hindi ka pala recorded ngayon, ha?
Hindi.
Akala ko
Live na live
recorded.
tayo. Live na live tayo
Ano ba
dito,
ang-
no?
Ano ba ang topic natin, Cheska, for tonight?
Ang topic natin for tonight ay cancel ng lipunan o ang
Cancel ng lipunan.
yes, cyberbullying.
Nakikita ko.
Yes.
Oo, nakikita ko cyberbullying and cancel culture. Didiscuss natin yan and may mga guest tayong mga online celebrities. At nakikita ko very opinionated na yung mga comment section natin. No?
Yes.
Nakikita natin, no? Ang mga comments sila dito, ang mga opinion sila ay hello from Luvana family. pero ano mo yung maganda itong usapan na to dahil very very timely itong itong ating pag-uusapan dahil gusto ko ring malaman kasi nagiging opinionated lahat ng tao sa panahong ito.
Yes, that's
Kasi kahit
true.
ako very opinionated din ako sa lahat ng mga current events natin ngayon. Lalo na pag napapag-usapan namin yan sa podcast naming The Cool Pals. Yan na.
May pa-plug? Oo nga eh. At
mapapakinggan nyo sa Spotify.
Yes.
So,
okay. Anyway, going
Gusto ko
back.
lang-
Alam naman. Go.
going back, gusto ko lang din malaman for tonight kung yung mga opinions ko ba nagiging borderline cyberbullying na ba yun?
Yun.
O freedom of expression pa ba yun? So gusto kong malaman ngayon, gusto kong matutunan.
Oo. Kasi napaka-toxic na talaga. Minsan, ang nangyayaring nakita natin sa social media ngayon, no? So, alamin natin ang kwento behind this, the psychology behind this with our guest this evening. So, wag na natin patagalin pa. James, tawagin na natin ang ating first guest.
Of course, syempre meron tayong kumuha tayo ng isang mga experts sa iba't ibang larangan. Ngayon, meron tayong sociologist ngayon. She is an associate professor in University of Canberra with a PhD in sociology from University of Birmingham. Please welcome Miss Nicole Curato.
Hello.
Good evening. Hello, Nicole. Halay? Joke lang. May pa-Australia.
Good day. Oo nga eh.
All right. Our next guest naman, para naman sagutin ang legal implications naman ng online bullying, kung makakasuhan ba to, is this a crime? Let's call in our legal expert, Attorney Edward Chico. Hi!
Ayan, good evening. Hello.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Tony.
Ganda ng,
Sir
ganda ng
James.
t-shirt natin.
Oo nga eh. Sa kwarto
All-
kasi ito ng anak ko, so wala akong choice, So I'm invading her space, so to speak.
Very
Okay.
Very hip ang pormahan natin ngayon, attorney. No.
Okay.
Susundutan kita diyan para hip tayo ngayon. Ito ang
Ayan.
pormahan natin.
Ganda,
Dahil susunod
ganda.
kasi ito mga online personalities, mga iniidolo ng mga kabataan ngayon. Ito, kilala siya bilang Davao Conyo. He is an online personality. Please welcome Philip Hernandez.
Hi, Philip!
Hello everyone sa mga lahat ng nanonood. Hello. Can you hear me well? Tama lang ba?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Now, let's call
Hello,
on
everyone.
our next guest. Isa rin siyang online personality that needs no introduction, no? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome DJ Lunyo.
All right. Ang mga
What's up,
pinunta ng mga
guys?
commenters.
What's up,
Yes.
guys?
Uy!
Hello.
Para tayo
What's up,
nakakap,
friend?
DJ Lunyo.
Gusto ko sa trend. Okay, ayan. Gusto ko rin po mag-shout out sa lahat ng mga nanonood ngayon. All 2,000 of you. Hello. Please feel free to share this with your friends and family, because napaka-interesting talaga at napaka-timely na ating pag-uusapan ngayong gabi. At gusto ko rin mag-shout out sa mga kasama ko ngayon sa aking watch party. Nakasama natin from Bataan, Metro Manila, Melbourne at Davao. Ayan, mag-hi kayo sa ating watch party. Hi,
Hello guys,
everybody.
parang kayo din yung last episode
Oy, hindi. Iba yan. Ito
Ay,
naman
di
si
ba?
James. Iba yan.
Iba
Ayan.
yan. Iba. Uy, nawala
Okay,
si,
thank you
Philip.
everyone. Oo. Yes, babalik lang si Philip. Nagkaka-internet connectivity issues lang siya, I think he's going to try to reconnect. But anyway, by the way, before we proceed with our questions, dahil marami kaming katanungan sa inyo, since we are talking about internet behaviors, Pinas Forward has also been doing digital thumbprint workshops around the Philippines since 2019 pa, and this is in partnership with Globe, na nagbibigay ng free seminars sa mga students, parents, and teachers para maging isang mabuti at responsableng netizen. Shout out ko lang sa lahat ng mga nanonood nating Tatak Pinuno dyan. Hello, nanonood din sila sa atin tonight. Sila yung mga sumali na sa aming digital thumbprint workshop. Ayan. Hello, welcome back, Philip.
Hello, sorry, nag-change ako ng connection. Ayun.
Okay lang. Ayan, so James, umpisahan na natin.
Yes, kailangan nating iset ang tone for tonight na maging light but informative ang ating gabi ngayon. Kaya simulan natin with our sociologist, Miss Nicole. Paki-explain naman sa amin kung ano ba itong cancel culture at saan ba ito nagsimula at gaano ito kalaganap dito sa Pilipinas, lalong-lalo na sa social media landscape.
Yes, actually yung language na cancelled, ni-research ko siya kanina, ang tagal na pala niya. It came from a Wesley Snipes film in the 1990s when I think he said to his girlfriend na, cancel that bitch. Parang ganun, medyo violent pala yung background. But recently,
Okay.
it took off because of the internet celebrity culture. So essentially, pag sinabi natin cancel culture, it's a form of public shaming, di ba? And to cancel someone is to say that this personality did not meet your expectations. So halimbawa, lahat tayo ina-expect natin si Ellen DeGeneres is a nice person because she talks about kindness in her talk show. But when her staff started talking about how mean she is, di ba, na parang hindi na-meet yung expectation. So canceled tuloy bigla si Ellen. Pero I think maganda rin yung distinction ng cancel culture sa call-out culture. Kasi yung call-out culture, pwede pa siyang sinasabi mo lang na, uy, teka lang, you have to revisit your behavior, di ba? Na parang, you're really just calling out bad behavior. Yung cancel culture, medyo it takes a step forward kasi punitive siya. Gusto mong parusahan yung personality na kinall out mo. That's why I think mas controversial yung konsepto ng cancel culture kasi gusto mo siyang parusahan. When you say you cancel someone, you boycott the personality. Kaya ang mga influencers, mas prone sila, mas vulnerable sila sa cancel culture kasi saan ba nanggagaling ang kapangyarihan ng influencer, di ba? Dahil may attention siyang nakukuha sa followers. So pag may nagsabing cancel this person, basically you're saying, kuhanin natin yung source ng kabuhayan niya, which is either brand endorsements, following on Twitter or on Instagram or on TikTok. So generally, ganun yung konsepto niya. May element siya ng kaparusahan.
Yes, Miss Nicole, ano ba yung may mga studies ba dito dun sa effect ng cancel culture with regards to the youth?
Well, yung isang malaking implication niya talaga is that ang pinaka-nasasaktan naman talaga sa cancel culture is yung mga may kabuhayan na nakadepend sa internet. And if you think about it, lalo na sa United States, di ba, ang dami rin nilang ine-expose ngayon na medyo pasaway sa COVID-19 or minsan mga racist personalities. Ang implication nun, nafa-fire sila sa trabaho and alam natin kung gaano yun kahalaga, di ba? Kung wala kang trabaho, wala kang insurance, wala kang makakain, wala kang, lalo na ngayon sa COVID, wala kang, kumbaga, safety net when it comes to health. So I think yung point lang dito is that ang implication talaga ng cancel culture is that may material effect siya. So yeah, and especially now in the context na youth naman talaga ang involved when it comes to the influencer lifestyle. Sila din yung mainly affected.
Tama din. So, tama yung nabanggit ni Miss Nicole na ang pinaka-tinatamaan talaga dito is yung mga livelihood and nakadepende sa online and creating content online. Kaya nag-invite tayo ng mga online personalities dito. Cheska, pwede mo bang tanungin ang ating mga
Yes, before we
online
go,
personalities?
before we go deeper into their experiences, no, gusto ko lang muna tanungin si Attorney Ed kung ano ba yung legal implications nitong cyberbullying. Considered ba siya as a cybercrime? Pwede mo bang kasuhan ng mga nambully sa'yo online?
Well, actually, no, yung cancel culture in itself, malinaw naman ako, no? So, kasi medyo mahina
Yes.
yung audio sa akin. Well, anyway,
Yes,
to talk
Attorney.
about cancel culture in itself is not an actionable wrong. Kasi nga, if the public can accept you, definitely the public can also cancel you. And if you're a celebrity, it goes with the territory, di ba? You have to take the good with the bad. And if you're a celebrity, you also get perks, fame, money, what have you. So, naiintindihan natin yan. So, in itself, it's not an actionable wrong. But from a legal standpoint lang, it's a bit alarming kasi yung cancel culture kasi, the problem with this is it also cultivates this culture of people increasingly disregarding due process. So, kumbaga, people couldn't care less about context anymore. They couldn't care less about pieces of evidence, about your right to be heard or your right to defend yourself. And in the process, it basically compromises the rule of law. Medyo slippery slope yan. Ang problema dito, ultimately, we create this, we institutionalize yung mob rule na tinatawag natin, where people can gang up on you and disregard the rule of law. Like in my case kasi, I have a lot of beef with the president with respect to certain of his policies, like yung Tokang, for example, because it disregards due process. But the problem is we live in a society that somehow unconsciously condones that because for yung parang ang naniniwala the end should justify the means, di ba? We have that notion and that is really very alarming. That's a problem with cancel culture. Now, cyberbullying in itself is not criminal. It really depends on what exactly was done against you. Because meron tayong anti-bullying law, not many people know this. It was signed in 2013, but it basically talks about anti-bullying in schools. So what the law does is basically encourage schools to come up with policies and implement programs to prevent bullying. Pero cyberbullying, wala talaga tayong definition yan. And nagkakaroon tayo ng pagtatalo diyan. However, there are certain provisions of law that you can rely on when you are bullied. So halimbawa, yung cyber law, yung cyber libel, yung tinatawag nating online libel. Now, what is online libel? Online libel is pretty much the same libel that is provided for in the revised penal code. So in other words, may defamation, siniraan ka. So may publication, hindi ba, pinost sa internet. Tapos merong identity, pinangalanan ka si DJ Lunyo yan, hindi ba? Or si Davao Conyo yan. And more importantly, merong malice. Merong presumption ng malice. Ngayon, ito yung dapat nating maintindihan. Online libel merely pertains to the original post. So for example, I posted something defamatory. Sabi ko, si DJ Lunyo, walang kwentang tao yan. Hindi ba? Ninako niya lang yung dance steps niya, hindi siya original. Stuff like those. So those are obviously
defamatory. Gusto ko clarify,
defamatory.
hypothetical tong lahat na to. Okay.
Kailangan natin, may mga pagkakataong kailangan ng hypothetical talaga.
Yes.
Dahil kahit naman yung pamumuno natin parang hypothetical na rin. So we live in a world where everything is hypothetical.
Yes, okay. And then?
Magot ka, attorney, kung ano sinasabi mo dyan, lapas kami dyan, ha? Pero attorney, ito, may tanong ako. Pag nasabihan akong bobo o tanga, wala akong pwedeng ikaso sa kanila?
Yun nga yung sinasabi ko, no? Yung issue ng defamation will be dependent on who you are, will also be dependent on the context. So halimbawa, kung ikaw ay public figure or celebrity, lalo na kung politiko ka, ang sabi ng Supreme Court, you shouldn't be onion-skinned. Pangalawa, yung kung paano niya sinabi yung opinion niya. Because if it's a reaction to an opinion you make in the first place and it's part of a discourse, then probably pwedeng palusitin. But as a rule, ito yung dapat nating tandaan. If something defamatory is uttered against you, ibig sabihin is specific. Hindi siya mere expression of opinion. Specific. Halimbawa, si A, magnanakaw yan. Estapador yan. So those are defamatory imputations. nag-a-apply lang ang online libel doon sa original post. So halimbawa ako, sabi ko si X magnanakaw. Ninakaw niya yung 15 billion. 'Di ba? Without due process, without pieces of evidence, sinabi ko ninakaw niya yung 15 billion. Tapos
Sige po,
si
attorney.
James, for example, shinare niya, which most people do, hindi ba? Yung nag-share is not liable for online libel. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, if you make a comment about a post that was made, you are likewise not liable. So halimbawa, sinabi ko nga doon si X, si Dr. X, from PhilHealth, ninakaw niya yung 15 billion, sigurado ako. So that is defamatory. Tapos nag-comment ngayon si DJ Lunyo doon, sabi niya, oo nga, magnanakaw talaga yan, di ba? Tapos sabi naman ni Cheska, hindi lang, talagang ano yan, talagang kawatan yan. So lahat ng nag-comment doon sa post, they are not liable for online libel except when the person would introduce another defamatory imputation that has nothing to do with the defamation that was, that has nothing to do with the import of the post. So halimbawa,
Okay,
nag-comment ka doon,
Okay,
hindi lang magnanakaw yan, babaero pa yan.
Yes.
So if you
Okay,
do that,
attorney.
then that becomes a you are, also criminally liable for online libel. Ngayon ang
Attorney.
tanong, paano?
Attorney, yes.
Let's discuss that more into
In
detail mamaya.
Sige.
Baka kung saan pang ahensya ng gobyerno tayo mauwi. Alright. So,
Okay, start
eto,
na tayo kay Davao Conyo, no? Okay, Philip, we have a question. You unfortunately had to, yes, hindi mo kailangan itaas yung kamay mo.
Sorry. Classroom.
Classroom tayo. Okay. So you also had first-hand experience ng online bullying, no? Can you tell us more about this experience and what you went through and things like that?
Yung sa akin naman is, paano ba? Saan magsisimula? Like, kung ano, how it felt, how did it happen, or like, kung ano lang yung feelings ko towards it?
Whichever, maybe
siguro briefly nung bakit ka na-cancel, bakit ka na-bully online, and then ano yung naramdaman mo throughout it?
Okay. So nung April 1 this year, I tweeted some things via Twitter. And then that day kasi I was really upset, I felt all sorts of things. Ang dami kong nararamdaman ng time na yun. Tapos actually sumabog yung issue April 2 morning kasi after nung what happened, after nung natulog na ako, it wasn't even something that I remember clearly. Parang I just like went to sleep and then pagkagising ko, nagtaka ko ba't ang daming notification sa Facebook ko. Tapos sabi ko na wala naman akong dub, para mag-1 month ako lang dub, kasi nagpahinga ako ng kaunti. Tapos nung binasa ko siya, doon ko na nakita, ito yung mga tweet ko kagabi. Paano umabot dito? Ganun. So doon ko na na-feel. Siguro parang it was parang slow burn siya sa akin. Parang dahan-dahan siya. Parang at first, parang I was just shocked na, okay, ngayon, it's here on Facebook. And, ayun, yun lang yung, malungkot talaga kasi the saddest part nun is, ang unang nakaalam is my family. Kasi ako yung pinaka-late nagising. So, technically, they woke me up to eat lunch. So, una nilang nalaman. So, alam mo yun, parang, before I could even defend myself or before I could even save the situation, kung ano yung kailangan ko i-save, it was too late because they already know about it. And they went through the comments, the personal attack.
Oops.
Okay. Yan. Philip? Okay, so nawala ulit si Philip pero punta naman tayo sa isa pang online personality na siya ang kinaklamor ngayon ng comment section na ito yung mga babies mo, DJ Lunyo. Marami ka. Pero ito, DJ Lunyo, same question with Philip. Ano ba yung nangyari sa'yo without going into detail na lang very vaguely na lang na kung ano ba yung nangyari at ano yung naramdaman mo nung ikaw ay naging biktima ng bullying and cancel culture?
Sa akin, malala kasi yung mga pangyayari sa akin kasi parang sa nagdaan na 2 months, parang sunod-sunod yung mga pangyayari. So nung first time, yung nangyari yung mass testing issue and all, so parang ang nangyari kasi nun is parang kwentuhan lang namin ng tropa. Tapos, it happens na i-live namin yun, which is marami yung naka-reneg and nakakita. So, same with Philip. So, bago pala ako matulog, parang ramdam ko na may mangyayaring negative kinabukasan. So, kagising ko, yun, same, punong-puno na yung notifications ko and all. So, parang ang first na pagkagising ko na nalaman ko yung nangyari, parang dasal agad eh. Parang sabi ko, Lord, ano bang ginawa ko? Bakit ito yung nangyayari? And then kahit na gaano ka ka-positive, kahit na gaano ka ka-equip mindset, kung ano man yung mga pinapaniwalaan mo, talagang tatagos sa negative energy na yun eh. To a point na ibablock yung mga senses mo na talagang down na down ka talaga. So kaya naiintindihan ko yung mga taong nade-depress ang pinagdadaanan. Kasi sabi ko that time, kahit na sobrang rooted ako sa lahat ng vision and purpose ko sa buhay, pero bakit talagang iitim lahat ng paningin mo? You want help but you can't seek help kasi alam mo na nasa puso, nasa loob mo lang yung tumawag ako sa family ko, ganyan. Sabi ko, ganyan, huwag kayo mag-engage kasi hype sila eh. Gusto nila ako i-defend eh. Pero sabi ko, huwag kayo mag-engage kasi unang-una, naiintindihan ko kung ano yung nangyari. Nagkamali ako eh. So I need to correct that. And it's a learning lesson from me na I need to really take care kung kailangan ko mag-ingat sa lahat ng mga sasabihin ko kasi maraming nanonood ng mga tao, maraming nanonood ng mga bata. So I took it as a learning lesson from me. So depende kasi yun eh. Kumbaga siguro I was really trained to ever since nagko-compete kami outside and so parang tinrain kami na instead of seeing things on a negative way, kumbaga parang pinipilit ko sa sarili ko na kahit durog ka na pero iintindihin mo pa rin yung sitwasyon para magbago lang yung outside reality mo. Kasi kung talagang papakinggan mo yung comment section, masaklap dun is yung they wanna see you die or they want you to die. Yun yung pinakamasaklap na mga comments. Pero at the end of the day, on that mass testing, naiintindihan ko yung mga tao na lahat tayo sa buong mundo naghihirap. So siguro nakakita sila ng isang angulo na pwede nilang tirain at may bagsak kung ano yung gusto nilang sabihin. So for me, kung yun yung angulo na yun, so amen ako doon. Naiintindihan ko yung pangyayari na yun. And I just, alam mo yun, grateful ako na hinahumble down ako ni God sa pangyayari na yun.
Okay.
Yeah. DJ Lunyo, nabanggit mo kanina yung sinabi mo na after nyo na mag-video, may naramdaman kang kakaiba na bago ka matulog na feeling mo magkakaroon ng gulo.
Yeah.
Ganun ang naramdaman mo? Parang may mali kang nasabi?
Kasi parang hindi naman sa parang may mali sabi, pero parang siguro I don't know, because I believe in energy, I believe in universe. So parang nararamdaman mo yung pag tumataas yung vibrations mo, parang mararamdaman mo na mamaya may something kasi kinukutuban ka. Parang may something ba ako nasabi. So itinulog ko na lang, pero kinabukasan, yun na yun. Sabi ko, boom, alright. So at the end of the day, acceptance and dasal. That's it.
Philip,
kasi gusto ko rin malaman ayun, sige.
Yes.
Jessica.
Yeah,
gusto ko lang itanong si Davao Conyo kung maaga-aga ka ba nagising, feeling mo hindi magkakaroon ng ano. Sabi mo kasi pero baka kay DJ Lunyo, yung parang may naramdaman ka rin bang bago ka matulog?
No. Kaya nga, parang sobrang opposite naman kay DJ Lunyo. Kasi yung akin, wala talaga. Parang, siguro, I don't know kasi for me, I feel like Twitter is my safe space. Siguro among all the social media accounts that I use. Sa Twitter ako parang, alam mo yung parang chill lang. I mean, kasi parang sa sobrang comfortable ko sa Twitter, sometimes nakakalimutan ko that I'm talking to this much people.
Right.
Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to my friends, I'm talking to yung sa GC. So parang you're super loose. So yung mga tinweet ko, parang those were the things na siguro parang sinabi ko siya sa close friends ko. So parang hindi siya nag-sink in sa akin. Kaya nung morning, doon lang ako na-remind na, oh my God, bakit ito nangyayari? Nakalimutan ko that I was tweeting as Davao Conyo. And I was tweeting to 100,000 plus people na nagpa-follow sa akin doon. So yun.
And then how was your experience? Kumusta yung reaction ng mga tao? Parang
meron ba katulad nung kay DJ Lunyo, parang gusto ko na ring mamatay?
Oo, meron. Pero sinabi nila bakla ako, ganun, sinabi nila. Tapos ang masakit doon is I can't defend myself kasi totoo. So ano ngayon kung bakla ako? Matagal ko nang alam before nyo pa nalaman. Sabi nyo pa nalaman, alam ko na, charot. Joke lang. Pero yung same kay DJ Lunyo, the first thing that I did is I told my family and my closest friends na don't engage. Kasi as much as you want to defend me, sabi ko na, no, parang you're talking to people na they're not open to criticisms. They are just there to destroy me or to say something negative. So it's useless, diba? So kung ikaw sasali ka, baka maungkat pa yung personal life mo, baka madamay ka pa. It's not going to end things. It will only worsen things. So it was painful for me kasi syempre sa lahat ng tao na inaaway ako noong time na yun, ma-appreciate yung mga konting people who na dinidefend ako, and it's parang at some point it pains me to tell them to stop. Pero I know na yun yung better choice.
Yeah.
Kasi ayoko mangyari sa kanila yung nangyari sa akin, and I wouldn't want this one to happen even to the people that I don't like because it's such a horrible experience.
Yep, totoo yun. Yun yung parang feeling mo na parang sana hindi mangyari sa inyo to kasi ang hirap, baka di mo kayanin. Meron lang tayong kanya-kanyang bash tolerance, hindi lahat kakayanin. So may certain level of tolerance tayo na kaya nating i-handle yung bash. So example, like same with my family, sabi ko yung mama ko may edad na, so alam mo yun, don't engage, sarado mo yung Facebook mo kasi sila yung pinakakawawa, hindi sila built para sa ganitong klaseng mundo. So yeah,
that's true.
Well, let me just say na congratulations to the both of you, no, for making it out of this. And
good
with a
luck dun sa
bang.
mga basher na nagsabing buhay na kayo. Kasi obviously, buhay kayo eh.
Mali sila. Joke lang. Okay. Balik po tayo kay Nicole, no? May iba kasing nagsasabi na progressive activism daw itong cancel culture. So it's a way of expressing dissent and it's a form of activism. Totoo po ba ito? And ano ang pagkakaiba nila kung hindi siya totoo? Where do you draw the line between progressive activism and cancel culture?
I think yung main question lang naman is canceling for what and canceling for whom, di ba? Sinong nakikinabang pag meron kang kinancel na tao?
Yeah.
And I think ako naman yung rule ko parate pagdating sa free speech, pagdating sa freedom of expression is you always punch above, don't punch below. Na parang kung meron kang i-attack, dapat yun yung mga tao na may kapangyarihan, huwag kang mag-a-attack ng tao na mas konti ang kapangyarihan sa'yo. I think nagiging challenging siya sa context ng influencers kasi hindi masyadong malinaw gaano ba sila kapangyarihan. For me, they're very powerful. They command a loyal group of audiences. Baka some influencers probably don't recognize how much they shape some people's lives. So some people would actually argue na actually tama lang na kino-call out yung influencers kasi it's a way of calling out new forms of power. Pero I think yung second point lang that I want to emphasize is that kung meron mang call-out culture, kung meron mang cancel culture, ang hindi pa natin masyadong namamaster as people who are spending loads of time in the internet is how we can learn together. Kasi parang kung meron ka mang kinall out, sana ikaw rin, willing ka rin matuto. Sana willing ka rin makinig kung ano yung justification ng tao na yon. So like when si DJ Luño said, nagpapakumbaba siya, he's trying to be humble, he's accepting his mistakes, then what's the point on piling on further, di ba? Sinong nakikinabang if you do that more? So I think yun yung maganda sigurong discussion na kung anong klaseng mamamayan tayo online at anong klaseng mga values yung ginagamit natin when we do call out some people that we disagree with.
Gusto ko lang maidagdag dun sa sinabi ni Miss Nicole, no? Yung ano bang nadudulot ng cancel culture kung first and foremost, hindi ka naman follower nung, kunyari, hindi ka naman follower ni DJ Luño at ni Davao Conyo, tapos ika-cancel mo sila. So anong bawas nun? No ba? Parang hindi ka naman naging kabawasan sa following nila. So yun lang din yung isa sa mga nagiging nakikita kong angle doon. And Miss Nicole, pwede ba makahingi ng reaction dun sa narinig mo dun sa kanilang dalawa, ni DJ Luño ni Philip, dun sa mga naging karanasan?
Syempre, empathy talaga to what happened to them, di ba? Na parang sa tingin ko, yung mahirap in their case is that when you're an influencer, ang capital mo talaga is your reputation. And pag in-attack yung reputation mo, what's under attack is your dignity. Pagkatao mo yun eh. It's not like you're a businessman, meron kang pinibentang produkto, tapos defective yung produkto, therefore na-bankrupt ka. Parang okay lang yun eh. Pwede ka magsimula ng bagong negosyo. Pero for influencers, what's on the line is their identities, pagkatao nila mismo. Kaya I really understand why, yun nga, parang yung ang bigat, parang ang hirap bumangon. And then you also have your family, your loved ones who are equally affected. Kaya siguro mahirap mag-recover.
Ito rin na Miss Nicole, Ito, sobrang curious kasi ako kasi nadidiscuss din namin ito sa podcast namin eh. Yung nagkaroon ng issue dati, yung kay Nas Daily, nung sinasabihan niya si Will na mag-engage sa politics. So, ano ang reaction mo doon? Kailangan ba talagang maging engage ngayon ng mga influencer sa politics at mag-voice out ng opinions nila? Katulad nung nangyari kay Philip.
I think yung question kasi dito is how do you want to use your influence, diba? So I also tweeted about that na parang sinasabi, I think na hindi naman expert sa politics yung ibang celebrities, so bakit mo sila i-expect na to talk about politics? Pero sa akin, it's not a question of expertise, it's a question of morality, diba? Na parang in times like this, na ang daming namamatay, ang daming nagugutom, I don't think this is a question of expertise, this is a question of moral judgment. I think there's something very peculiar about this moment, na silence really is a decision. And kung you decide to be silent, then I think that is a reflection of your moral values, diba? So I think kung ganun man yung decision ng ibang influencers or celebrities to stay quiet, dapat handa rin silang i-defend kung bakit gusto na lang nilang maging mas tahimik. Kasi I think at this point, keeping quiet is such a luxury, it's such a privilege.
Okay,
Nicole, one last follow-up question before we move on. I just wanna know your opinion on mga memes that, that's the new language now on social media, diba? Parang when we express our disagreement with anything, even politics, no, even our leaders, we express them through memes. And what do you think of this? Would you consider this progressive activism, or is this cancel culture, or yun lang po?
Yeah, I think kung i-apply natin yung message ko kanina na when you make memes or kahit satire, when you make fun of other people or when you shame other people, are you punching above or are you punching below? So if you are making memes out of people in power, the president, the presidential spokesperson, elected public officials, I think fair game because these people are people in power. And in fact, itong memes, isa lang siyang paraan para ma-equalize natin yung power. Kasi ito na nga sila eh. Sila na yung may hawak ng kaban ng bayan, sila na yung may hawak ng militar, sila na yung, di ba, hawak nila yung buong bansa. Ano naman yung paraan ng mga ordinaryong mamamayan para sabihin na, oy, teka lang, parang hindi naman carry yung ginagawa ninyo. Kaya naghahanap ng mas creative, engaging, funny ways of holding officials accountable. So I think in this case, as long as we're not breaking laws, to defer to what Attorney was saying earlier, I think this is fair game. We're holding power accountable.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, si Philip. Question.
Yeah, question ko kay Ma'am Nicole naman. Ano po yung skincare niyo? Charot, hindi. Yung pala. Kasi ang ganda ng skin mo. So, kasi diba, halimbawa, yung nangyari sa amin ni DJ Lunyo, for example, yung mga people na nagbash sa amin na hindi naman content creators or hindi influencers or whatever term you want to call it, when you're criticizing people with following, tapos ikaw wala, is that punching above? Or
kung wala, yung nakikriticize sa'yo, walang followers.
Yeah.
Tama ba?
Kasi parang, yeah. Is that considered punching above? Or?
Pero hindi naman siya troll, di ba? I think merong difference doon eh. Kung merong nag-a-attack sa'yo na walang followers kasi troll, feeling ko punching below yon, especially kung bayarang troll yan eh. Di ba? Ikaw yung ina-attack. Pero kung ang humble mo kasi, parang gusto mo sabihin, yung mas hindi sikat sa'yo, ina-attack ka, is that punching above? I think it is punching above kasi parang I think it's important. I think it's important then for us to embrace the kind of fame and influence that you have online. Even if you feel humble about all your achievements, the point is sikat ka. The point is you have influence. So when people call you out, I think it's also them trying to confront the kind of power that you have. So I think it begins with that recognition na actually ang laki ng platform ko, actually ang laki ng audience ko, and that in itself is power. So also be ready for those kinds of people who call you out and hold you accountable to your power. Ang skincare ko pala ay hydration. Inom ka lang.
Cheers. At least may natututunan tayo ngayon yung punching above and punching below. So kung may nag-criticize sa'yo, Philip, na 1.6 million followers lang, which is ikaw 1.7 million followers. So punching above 'yon. So
Punching above yun.
so
Oo.
so
Oo.
magtinginan tayo sa
Sa akin
Number
naman,
na ng
sa akin
follow.
naman, brother. Sa akin
Yes,
naman,
DJ
brother,
Lu.
pag nangyayari sa akin yung ganyan. Kasi marami, and then, minsan pa, kawan ako ng meme na may sinabi ako doon, pero never ko naman talaga sinabi. And then, talagang kumalat, and then talagang yung mga tao, parang akala nila, ginawa ko talaga yun, pero di ko naman sinabi yun. So, alam mo yun, parang maglalabas ka ng statement na hindi ako yun, pero na-brainwash na yung tao, ito na yung pinapaniwalaan nila.
Yeah.
So, at the end of it, parang I've parang nag-undergo ako ng ng detox and all sa lahat ng kailangan ko i-clear yung utak ko kung ano ba talaga yung importante. So at the end of it, kung itong mga bagay na to is hindi makakapagbigay ng positibo sa araw ko, then alam mo yun, hindi ko ibibigay yung energy ko dyan. Kumbaga sa akin, I need to protect my energy inside kasi yun yung nagkikreate ng outside na reality ko So yung nangyari ngayon, to a point na hindi ko na alam na may nangyayaring basbas sa labas sa akin. Basta importante, masaya ako sa pang-araw-araw ko. And yun yung sinasabi ko sa mga tao, like, kung ano yung tinatapon mo, yun yung babalik sa'yo. So I just hope and pray na hindi babalik sa'yo yan or sa pamilya mo ba. Kasi pag bumalik yan, baka hindi mo kakayanin Mama mo ibabash, diba? Sasabihin na tanga, bobo and all. And naaawa lang din ako sa mga bata ngayon, yung mas bata pa sa akin. Kasi mas takot na silang maglabas ng talento nila kasi i-judge lang din naman pala sila sa social media So at the end of it, kung meron akong passion sa bagay na to, wag na lang, baka sabihan akong bobo, baka sabihan akong tanga. So yun lang yung parang nakakalungkot na pwedeng mangyari na sana, parati kong movement is just
Oops.
Yan, yung energy ng internet ni DJ Lunya, mukhang nawawala yung energy.
Okay, no, pero
bago tayo,
yes.
may sabihin lang ako, maikli, Cheska, bago
Go,
tayo pumunta
James.
kay attorney. Kasi nabanggit mo yung sa memes kanina, yung parang sa memes, alam mo, mas magandang way siya para ma-express mo yung political side mo. Kasi na-express mo in satirical way and very light manner. So, mas may iwasan mo yung bullying doon sa part na yon. Kasi ako, madalas din ako mag-produce ng memes Ito si Attorney Ed, being a stand-up comedian, very vocal ka din sa personal Facebook page mo, di ba? Hindi ka, nakikita ko kasi friend kita sa Facebook, pero hindi ka masyadong naglalagay ng memes, no? So medyo maganda yung rant mo. Hindi naman siya rant pero may bawi sa dulo. Pero ikaw ba doon sa ganong format nabully ka na ba? Nabully ka na ba online ng mga nasa kabilang side ng tinitira mo?
Well, actually, madalas akong mabully, From time to time, I'd be getting messages, hindi ba, of hate and anger. I remember I posted something about the president, about his meeting. Sabi ko, nakakatawa yung meeting ni presidente, para lang networking. Parang ganyan, something to that effect. And it was shared by Yusek Badoy sa pages ng mga DDS. And I was actually bashed for it. And kagaya nga ng sinasabi ko, ako kasi naniniwala ko sa freedom of speech. I always believe in the primacy of freedom of speech. And in fact, the Supreme Court is always telling us that if there is ambiguity, you always side with freedom of speech. And that should not be punished. Your right to express yourself. Kagaya nga lang ng sinasabi ko kanina, it's very important lang for us then to be very, very careful. Kagaya nung kaso ni DJ Lunyo tsaka ni Davao Conyo, kung makita nila kung sino yung nag-post nung original na meme, na kagaya mo, DJ Lunyo, di ba? Hindi mo naman sinabi, passing off as your actual statements and very damaging, you can actually sue that person for online libel. So yun yung sinasabi ko. Ngayon, yung mga nagbabash naman ng mga tao, you cannot sue them for online libel, nagko-comment lang sila. But interestingly, sa revised penal code, may tinatawag na unjust vexation. Ibig sabihin ng unjust vexation, yung ginagawa niya, it vexes you, it annoys you, it stresses you out. Alam mo ba, under the revised penal code, that's also a criminal act. So kaya yung mga tao na dapat maingat tayo. Tama yung sinabi kanina ni Miss Nicole, na you can always, siguro to a certain extent, you can even bash public figures, yung mga politiko, because sabi nga ng Supreme Court, they shouldn't be onion skinned. But the influencers, hindi ba, who are not into public service, people should actually be very, very careful. because they also have the right to express themselves. And expression also includes political beliefs. So dapat wag kayong mahiya, wag kayong matakot. Just say whatever you want to say.
Okay, attorney, gusto ko lang po mag-follow up doon, no? Kasi we've already touched on calling out politicians, people in power, calling out online influencers, but I think the more serious cases here are yung mga private individuals na bubully online ng kanilang own circles lang din, no? So I've seen many cases. I've had family and also friends who were also bullied online. So when this happens, ano yung legal steps na pwede nilang i-take? Ano yung kailangan nila na documents? Ano yung mga requirements for them to be able to file a case? Lalo na wala sila, they're not in power, di ba? They're just ordinary citizens.
So, well, normally nga online libel yan, ano? And before I answer that question, gusto ko lang linawin, yung online libel, pasok din yun sa mga group chats, ha? It does not confine itself to posts on SOCMED per se. So, halimbawa, grupo tayo sa group chat natin, meron tayong sinisiraan na tao, that would also qualify under online libel. So, if that would be the case, it's best for you, of course, to make a screenshot of the allegedly defamatory post, because chances are the person would remove it. When you, for example, send a demand letter or anything of that nature, di ba? So, i-screenshot nyo lang siya. Pangalawa, you can also get testimonies from people who've actually seen the post, yung nakabasa. So, pwede nyo silang pagawain din ng affidavits. And then, ipagsama-sama niya ito, you can come up now with your own complaint affidavit na pwede mong i-file sa piskalya para magkaroon ng conduct ng preliminary investigation. And kung ako tatanungin mo, sana hindi criminal offense ang cyber, ang online libel. But since it's criminal, gusto ko lang linawin na mas mataas ang parusa sa online libel kaysa ordinaryong libel sa newspaper, radio, or TV. So kaya nga lagi ko sinasabi sa mga tao, let's be careful. Let's be careful. Lalo na kami ni James, comedians kami sa atin kasi James, wala tayong problema because if taken in context, we're doing comedy. Pero some people would not see it that way. So we also have to be careful. Right. Ang key lang lagi, wag kang mag-i-specify ng specific act. You can always comment on something like may policy yung gobyerno. You can come up with an opinion. You can say the government is incompetent. DJ Lunyo is incompetent. This is not defamatory. But it becomes defamatory now the moment you specify an act. 'Di ba? Alam mo to, tamad to, hindi talaga nag-aaral to. Ito nagnanakaw ito. Ito bobo ito. So that would amount to online libel.
Ako, attorney, maganda yung mga sinasabi mo. Nakita ko si DJ Lunyo, parang sinusulat niya Sinusulat mo.
Hindi, maganda talaga kasi talaga lalo na yung mga nakikinig ngayon kasi lalo na sa akin parang may ganyan palang na pwede kong kapitan, 'di ba? Kasi yung tao ngayon parang walang preno, kumbaga go lang ng go, sige maka-release lang ako ng negative, bahala na kayo diyan. Hindi nila naintindihan na pwedeng kumbaga sa akin sobrang traumatic yung mga nangyari sa akin. Pero alam mo yun, parang dahil sa Diyos din na number one, talagang grateful din ako sa circle ko na talagang inalagaan din nila ako, nila ako pinabayaan kasi sa kanila din ako kakapit Pero kawawa kung sino yung matatamaan talaga, as in sobrang kawawa. Kaya sobrang nakakatulong tong conversation.
Yeah. Paano ka nag-move on pala, DJ Lunyo? Paano ka aside from the pinifilter out mo na yung negative energies, paano ka gumagawa na ngayon ng content? Ano na yung may nabago ba at nagkaroon ba ng pagbabago doon sa tingin mo sa power na nakukuha mo being an influencer?
Yung nangyari kasi is kung ang nakita ko sa fans ngayon na nagfa-follow sa akin is kung paano ko hinandle kasi yung nangyari sa akin. Kumbaga hindi ako nagpatalo, nagtuloy-tuloy lang ako, and then kahit na yung times na mahirap tumayaw kasi kailangan mong i-fake yung loob mo kasi bad trip yung loob mo masakit yung sa loob, pero at the end of the day, you want to spread love to people, you want to spread positivity to people through your music, through your dance and all. So, dahil siguro kung paano ko dinala yun and kung paano yung pag-handle ko sa nangyari sa akin, kaya din siguro mas nagkumapit pa sila sa akin ng sobra. Yun yung nakita ko.
Nice.
Yan. Ikaw naman, Philip, paano ka nag-move forward? Hindi ka na ba nagde-dwell sa politics na posts?
Yeah.
Paano yung mga... by the way, congrats nga pala dun sa nagtitrending na isang platitong hostisya. Ano ganda yan?
Thank you. Same din with DJ Lunyo. I really had an amazing support group, and then I really kasali doon sa Ate Cheska. I really talk to people na parang alam mo kasi parang ang na-appreciate ko kasi nung time na yan is pag may mga taong nag-PM sa akin na, uy, hindi tayo pareho ng opinion, but I'm really sad na nangyayari yan sa'yo. Kasi my respect goes out to those people. Kasi I also see myself as that kind of person. You know, kasi ang dami kong friends na hindi ko kapareho ng opinion, but I never used my platform para to send hate sa kanila just because I had a different opinion with them. So those are the kind of people that I really appreciate. And sa content naman, yung dati pa din, yung dubs, skits, isingit ko lang, siguro kasi at some point na-understand ko rin yung reaction ng ibang tao, hindi ng lahat, ng ibang tao na nag-express ng disappointment because I kind of felt like they weren't prepared for the things that I said because they followed me for a different reason. Does that make sense? Parang alam ko naman na pinalo nila ako because of the dubs, pinalo nila ako because of the skits, because siguro sa kanila, ang dami-dami ng nangyayari sa internet, mga toxic na sinasabi ni ganito, ni ganyan, nag-aaway. So, ipa-follow ko sa Davao Konyo kasi sobrang positive lang ng mga content niya. And siguro they weren't prepared for the things that I said. And siguro, for that, at some point, I would want to apologize. I wasn't able to preempt them eh. Parang it just happened. Parang dub, skits. Tapos bilang inaway ko yung presidente. Ano yun? So parang yun.
Sana
parang
tinawag mo na lang yung presidente.
Ina-acknowledge ko naman yun. Siguro yun, but it would have been a smoother transition at Cheska if I did that. Pero it was parang biglang 360 yun eh. And they weren't prepared for that. So dun siguro ako nasaktan for others. And I respect them kung saan sila nanggagaling na sorry, hindi ka naka-prepare sa sinabi ko. And I'm sorry because I know that you followed me for a different reason. For at least now, medyo na-preempt na rin sila sa kung ano mga pwede ko pang sabihin. Sure!
Be prepared.
May pagbabanda. Pero ayun, yun lang naman.
Okay. Thank you. And congratulations. Nasabi ko na pala yun. Pero 1.7 million na. From ano yung number mo before the incident, you were at 1.5.
1.5.
Oo,
Uy, pero hindi ko yung sinadya. Baka sabihin ng mga tao, sinadya mo yun para magpapansin. Hindi talaga. Napak na ako na yun na nangyari. Ganun.
Hindi, pero congrats nga talaga.
Feeling ko kasi kay Davao Konyo nung nabawasan ka ng followers nung di ba? Nung nag-post ka ng politics.
Yes. Hindi ka nabawasan ng followers?
Yan ang
Hindi,
matinding
parang-
flex. Wow, flex
Flex.
Parang hindi
Actually,
naman.
ito nga yung ano dun eh, kasi kahit din sa akin na nangyari yun, tinignan ko yung engagements ko.
Oops. Oh no. Hello?
Ayun.
Yes,
Ayun.
pakiulit DJ Lunyo
Yung nagulat din ako kasi sa yung malaking issue sa akin na nangyari, dalawang malaking issue. Tumaas yung engagement ko sa Facebook eh. So parating green, di ba? Nag-expect ako na pupula lahat yung engagements na yun. Pero yun nga eh, parang dun mo napapaisip na, Lord, ano bang klaseng past mo ako pinapadaan? Are you taking me to something? Kasi doon na lang ako humuhugot eh. Kasi hindi naman for Davao Konyo and then sa akin, hindi naman si God napakalupit niya na hindi niya tayo papadaan sa ganitong klaseng path kung walang tayong pupuntahan eh. So alam ko na he's really preparing us for something big. So that's why pinaparamdam niya sa atin ngayon kung kailan tayo magiging responsible sa mga actions natin. Kumbaga parang ngayon pa lang tinitraining na niya tayo for something big to deserve that kung ano pa man yung pupuntahan natin.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Speaking of turning things around and making ano yung famous saying then making lemons into lemonade. Nicole, I just want to ask you I just want to find out ano yung comment mo dun sa mga perfect examples ng mga nabully online that were able to turn it around. No, one famous one that I really look up to is Senator Nancy Binay and how she was bullied when she was running for senator, and then now everybody's like, I stand San Nancy, ganyan. Tapos and also Kim Chu and how she was became a meme, no, and how people were poking fun at how she was expressing her feelings, and then she created it into a song and raised funds with her merchandise. What is your comment on this?
Yes, I think yung main lesson naman dito is reactions in the internet are fleeting, di ba? Na parang, I can't remember the exact figure in this study, pero parang if you look at it, mainit lang naman yan, 1 week maximum, and then it will subside. But I think the more important lesson is, yun nga, how do you transform that experience to something productive? And I think yun ang power ng internet because it's such a creative space, di ba? So Senator Bina used the hashtag #BeNice, right? And now ngayon, ano na siya, parang favorite tita in the Senate na siya ngayon. So I think there's advantage to being able to make fun of yourself, diba? Not to take yourself so seriously, but also use that experience to educate yourself and to educate others. Yeah. So parang yung favorite ko ngang cheesy line is parang you have freedom of speech, so you can also set others free, diba? Para saan ba yung kalayaan mong magsalita kung hindi mo kayang makapagpalaya ng iba. So I think for people who experience some traumatic experience, well, as far as I know, I don't know if attorney agrees with me, we still live in a democratic country where there's still free speech, and we use this space where we still have freedom to set others free as well.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Nice.
Thank you, Ms.
That's
Nicole.
great. Okay. And that is now let us move on to our the next part of our program. No. Don't worry sa lahat ng mga katanungan dyan sa comments. Alam ko ang dami nagtatanong. Meron tayong part in our show. We will answer some of those questions. But right now, I would just like to turn to our next segment, which is called "Did You Get the Memo?" James, how do you play this game?
Yes,
I mean, activity.
Napapag-usapan na rin naman natin yung memes kanina. So ngayon, kumuha tayo ng mga memes online, tapos titingnan natin kung ano ba yung mga reactions nyo dito. Huwag kayong mag-alala, DJ Lunyo and Davao Conyo. Wala kayong meme dito. Hindi kami kumuha ng meme para dito.
Nakikita ko na si April Boy eh.
Nakita mo ba yun kay April Boy?
James daw gumawa nun. Okay.
Pero
so
ito,
yes.
gusto lang namin makita yung reactions niyo. Dalawa lang naman yan, agree or disagree. Kapag agree kayo, sabihin nyo, haha. Pag disagree kayo, ang sasabihin nyo, brut-brut. So, brut-brut.
Sige, try tayo.
Practice na ni DJ Lunyo. Attorney Ed, pa-brut-brut naman dyan. Alam ko, paborito mo tong brut-brut na to.
Kasi paborito mo rin yan. Paborito na. Brut.
Yan, ganyan. So, ganun lang, no? So, if you agree, haha. Yes.
Yes. Philip,
go, James.
Meron kang choice para hindi gawin ng brut-brut. Kung may implicate ka dito, okay lang kahit di mo gawin. Pwede bang gawin yung brut-brut o hindi? Oh, sige.
Brut-brut.
Yan. I'm brave.
Yan.
Brave.
Copy pa, Miss Nicole.
Ano ba kasi meaning ng brut-brut?
Ano yun?
Teka, yung bang brut-brut disagree? Nalito ako? If you agree.
Yes, disagree ang brut-brut. So parang binabaril mo na yung meme.
Okay.
Galing yung sa
yun pala yun. Okay.
If you,
yan. Sinabi ni President yung brut-brut.
Yes, I think everybody knows, James. Everybody knows where that came from. Okay.
Miss Nicole, may isang brut-brut naman.
Brut-brut.
From Australia.
Yeah.
May accent.
Ha?
Kinilig ako sa brut-brut ni Miss Nicole. Okay.
Alright.
Before tayo... Yes. Before tayo mag-proceed, I would just like to clarify that the memes that we are about to show do not represent the opinion of Pinas Forward at napili lamang namin ng mga memes na or posts na ito dahil ito yung sentiments ng ating netizens on the topic that we're talking about right now. At ito yung mga nagba-viral ngayon sa social media. Okay, so let's start with our first meme. This is for Miss Nicole. So James, take it away.
Miss Nicole, this is a graph showing money status pero mas maganda, mas malakas pa rin yung power na binibigay niya pag nag-dig up ka ng old tweets para i-cancel ang isa, di ba? Parang nangyari yan kay Kevin Hart eh.
Oo,
Nicole, ano ang reaction mo dito?
Well, I think I agree. So ano nga yung pag-agree? Haha.
Haha.
Kasi,
Yes.
oo, kasi parang money can be replaced, di ba? Pero being able to shame someone and tarnish someone's dignity, that's irreplaceable. So ibang klaseng power to. So haha kasi nag-agree ako, not because I like it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
next
you.
meme.
Next. Para kay Attorney Ed naman.
SpongeBob naman
Actually, wala akong nakikita.
Ay, okay.
Wala ka nakikita.
Ay.
I-describe ko na lang sa'yo.
Bakit?
Si SpongeBob to, para nasa Pinoy henyo. Si SpongeBob nasa isang kwarto, tapos may malaking speaker na bumubuga ng cyberbullying. Pero walang magawa yung anti-cyberbullying law in the Philippines.
Well, to a certain extent, haha, kasi there is really no law on cyberbullying yet. So yun. So yun yung problema right now. Wala pang anti-cyberbullying law talaga.
Okay.
Per se.
All right.
Next.
Next, this is for Davao Conyo.
Ito naman sabi
Or
na, when you
Philip.
see people that emotionally abused you or be all against bullying and abuse now with woke online positive person. Hindi ko masyadong naintindihan to. Ikaw nang bahala.
Sobrang haba.
Really?
When you see people that emotionally abuse you, be all against. Okay, haha.
Bakit haha? Gusto bang mag-comment?
Yeah, parang self-explanatory naman siya. Na ang dami talagang tao sa social media. You really have to be careful din. Kasi like what I said, I don't know if nasabi ko to kay Ate Cheska, sabi ko na yung mga tao naman na kumampi sa akin, I'm not 100% sure if they're really there for me because they really like me and they really see through me, or they're just there because we share the same opinion. Parang ganun, does that make sense? Alam ko na some of them will be the same people who will bash me if I had a different opinion. Does that make sense? So, so yun. So, haha ako dyan.
Okay.
And next is
Next
DJ
one
Lunyo.
is for DJ Lunyo.
You know,
Ayan.
freedom of speech isn't freedom from consequences. Anong reaction mo dito, DJ Lunyo?
You know, freedom of speech isn't freedom from consequences.
Agree ka ba dito o disagree? Parang may freedom of speech ka pero hindi ka nakakatakas from consequence. So may consequence pa rin yan. Kahit meron kang freedom of speech.
Haha ko dyan.
Agree. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, next meme. Kay Miss Nicole again. Ito naman, tweet ito from CNN Philippines, pero ba't naging meme? Anyway.
Nakikita naman natin kung bakit, di ba?
Yan, sabi na PhilHealth President Morales blames negative publicity on PhilHealth appeals for support. Instead, tulungan ho natin ang PhilHealth kung maaari ho wag pagtulungan. Pero sabi ni Chris Aquino, kami na ninakawan, kami pa may kasalanan.
Akala ko ibibigay ko kung paano yung sinabi. Yes, okay, well.
Hindi lang parang haha, dapat buwahaha talaga.
Ayun. Okay. Would you like to explain before we move on?
No, charot.
All right.
Obvious naman tayo nakawan tayo yung problema, di ba?
Ayos, may charot pa rin pala sa Australia.
Yes, right.
Alright,
next.
kay Attorney Ed naman, ito, babasahin ko na lang ulit sa'yo. You are entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to tell me what mine must be. Yan ang sabi ng meme.
You are not entitled to tell me what?
Mine must be.
What
mine must be. Haha, kasi that is essentially what freedom of expression is about. You know, you may say one thing that is diametrically opposed to the view of another, but it does not presuppose that just because taliwas yon, the other person should make you, should preclude you from saying it. And in a democracy, sabi nga ni Miss Nicole, importante na may malayang pagdidiskurso. Kagaya nga nasabi ko kanina, in case of ambiguity again, we always side with freedom of expression. Kaya may issue talaga ako dun sa gobyerno na pag nag-post ka ng medyo allegedly attacking the government, pinapahuli ka, sobrang nire-resist ko yun because that's not what freedom of expression is about.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Ed. Attorney Ed.
Thank you, Attorney Ed.
Next one again is for
DJ
Philip. Ito naman
Yes,
sabi
perfect.
dito, rev up those keyboard boys, we are going cyberbullying. Ito yung sinasabi nilang mob mentality. May isa talagang promotor. Tingnan mo yung itsura niyan. Pangit
Yeah.
talaga yung mga promotor ng cyberbullying.
Ano siya, haha, kasi nangyayari talaga siya, pero brut na sana hindi siya, sa mga nanonood ngayon, di ba, sana hindi nila gawin.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yan.
And
last but not the
finally,
least, ito naman, medyo mahaba ito. Hindi ko rin makita, pero babasahin
ako
ko
na
rin sa'yo.
magbabasa. Gusto mo
DJ.
ako na magbabasa?
Okay. Sige, go.
Alright. So, sabi sa Book of Facts, no, bullying and embarrassing people online or in real life is not cool or funny, and you don't know what they are going
Agree
through
ako
or
dyan.
what. Oh, wala, hindi pa tapos. Okay.
Facts
Yeah.
talaga.
Yes,
Diba?
DJ Lunyo.
Hindi natin alam kung ano yung pinagdadaanan nila. What if di mo alam na hiniwalayan pala ng ex, tapos nawalan pa, nanakawan pa, tapos binuli mo pa. Parang patong-patong na and all yung problema. So, binuli mo pa cyber and then ang dami nang nag-jump sa, alam mo, nakisabay and all, nagmumura at lahat. So, pag hindi kinaya yun yung ayaw ko na may makitang like nagpakamatay or alam mo yun yung pinaka-worst na mangyari kasi kumbaga, paano mo nang gawin dahil sobrang hindi ko na maintindihan yung nangyayari. So yun yung parang nagbablock na yung senses mo kasi meron dong iba nakikisali na lang and all, tapos alam mo yung parang gusto mo i-justify nga yung sarili mo pero hindi mo ma-justify and all. So yun parang kailangan na lang natin maging kailangan natin makiramdam kung kahit kung dapat pa ba tayong dapat pa ba tayong mag-jump or baka sobra naman na. Kaya nga sabi ko sa recent ko na issue, sabi ko ano ba yung enough? What is enough for you guys? Diba? Gusto niyo ba ako nakikitang mamamatay talaga? Magiging okay ang pakiramdam niyo? So, alam mo yun, na lang tayo makiramdam kasi yung mundo ngayon, sobrang kawawa na yung mundo ngayon.
All right.
Tama. That's
okay.
crazy. That's
Ayan.
we live in a very crazy world.
Yes. Okay. So let's move on to our next segment. It's called the lightning round. So at this point, we will be answering questions that were sent to us even before the show. So before pa tayo nag-live, marami nang nagpadala ng kanilang mga katanungan para sa ating mga guests. Meron din tayong mga live comments na nasasagutin ngayong gabi. Ayan. Pero dahil lightning round siya.
Mabilis lang ba to, Cheska? Mabilis lang.
Yes. Dahil lightning round siya, mabilisan lang yung ating pagsagot. Okay. Ayan. Kasi pa-sweater ka pa dyan.
Okay, game.
Yan. Okay, let's proceed. Let's start. Our first question is for Nicole. Ang pagiging neutral ba o walang opinion ay may tuturing na tama dahil sa paglalaganap na cancel culture sa bansa? Naku, napaka-importanting tanong ito.
Yan, tama yan.
Kasi silence is ano yun?
Silence is a privilege. Pero baka rin naman kasi silent kasi still trying to learn, di ba? Na parang hindi pa handa na magpahayag ng opinion kasi pinag-aaralan pa. So, lightning round pala. So, ano ba to? Ang pagiging neutral ba o walang opinion ay maituring na tama? Pwede na. How do you use your neutrality? Diba?
Yeah, pwede ka na mag-expound ng konti.
Na-pressure kasi ako lightning round.
Sorry. Go
No, pero yun nga, siguro yung neutrality, if that time of being neutral is being used as a time to reflect, diba? To study, to learn more, then I think it's okay.
Okay. All right, next question.
All right, next question is
ito
to
naman
Philip.
para kay Philip. Ito naman sabi ni Tracy K. Ngeteg. As an influencer, how do you control yourself to not respond to bashers and anger? With anger.
I just really, I just exit the app na lang talaga. And talk to people instead. Kasi it's very tempting to respond. Especially, di ba parang human nature naman na parang ayaw mong mapakan yung pride mo na kung ganito ako, ano ka? Parang ganon. Di ba? Parang especially kung palaway ka rin in nature. Pero super hirap siyang i-control. Pero mas okay naman yung return sa'yo if hindi mo na napapatulan.
Yes, that's true. Sabi nga nila, di ba, to make patol is human, to make deadma is divine.
True.
Hindi mo alam. Go.
Yes.
Go. Kasi for me, nakaka-insulto yung halimbawa, 100 comments of good comments, tapos may isang negative comment, tapos yun ang re-replyan mo. Parang for me, nakaka-insulto yung sa 100 good comments. So kung hindi ko kaya replyan yung 100 sa sobrang dami, bakit ko re-reply yung isang negative? So Ganon.
Correct.
At saka hindi mo alam kung sino yung one comment na yun. Malay mo, isang bata lang yun na nagpipiso net tapos umalis lang.
Exactly.
Totoo.
Hindi na sumagot. Alright, next
Totoo.
question.
Next question. This is for
Ito
DJ Lunyo. Yes,
Same person din, no?
Oo, wow, dami yung tanong, no? With the cancel culture in our country, how can you respond to people in a mannerly character? How do you become nice now? How do you be nice to them?
Ever since na nangyari sa akin yung mga experiences na yun, parati lang talagang love and compassion sa akin eh. Kumbaga yun na yung pinaka-mindset ko. Hindi kita sasagutin, hindi kita papatulan. Kumbaga tuloy-tuloy na lang ako sa kung ano yung kailangan kong gawin. Kasi kahit papatulan mo sila, alam mo na magkaiba kayo ng pananaw eh. So hindi yun matatapos, magki-create lang siya ng panibagong problema ulit. So might as well focus on what you need to do or focus on what is the right thing to do for yourself. Kasi kung nilelet mo lang yung energy na yun, alam mo yun, parang hindi kumbaga nakabuntot na sa atin influencers yun, hindi na mawawala yan. Yung kumbaga para nasa bingit tayo parati na once na magkamali tayo, pwede tayong i-cancel agad-agad ng tao. So, might as well, sa pang-araw-araw natin, gawin na lang natin kung ano yung pinaka-best para sa atin, kung ano yung mga nagpapasaya sa atin. Kasi I believe kung ano yung mga magagawa natin yun, magre-resonate din sa mga tao na nagpo-follow sa atin. So, kung maano sila, kung may influence sila na baguhin yung panahon nila sa buhay, amen yun. Kung hindi, then, respeto. Yun lang.
Alright.
Next question.
Yan, kay Attorney Ed naman, bago ko basahin to, DJ Lunyo may nag-aaway sa comment, si Menchi. Wag niyo pansinin yung mga yan. Alam mo, ito Attorney Ed, ito pa ni Almira Ramos. Attorney Ed, ang bigat ba ng kaso ng cyberbullying ay nakadepende sa bigat din ng sinabi o komento?
Well, kagaya ng sinabi ko, wala namang cyberbullying as a crime per se. Maliban na lang kung yung ginawa niya amounts to a particular crime. Kagaya ng online libel, nagiging online libel kapag may defamation, sinisiraan ka, sinisira yung reputasyon mo, 'di ba, yung magandang pangalan mo, pinaparatangan ka ng paggawa ng krimen or kung ano man. So this amounts to online libel. Malaki ang kulong nito, taon to. If I'm not mistaken, parang 6 na taon nito or even more, parang 6 to 8 or I'm not really so sure, pero ilang taon din ang kulong nito. Now, doon naman sa mga simpleng bagay lang, that's not amount to online libel, yung binevex ka lang, yung mga nangbabash tayo, pwede mong sampulan yan, pwede mong idemanda yon ng unjust vexation kasi inaanoy ka, binevex ka. Ang kulong dito parang 30 days lang, tsaka payment ng fine of 200 pesos, but still a criminal offense. So may record pa rin yung tao. But pero kung ako lang dahil advocate ka ng freedom of expression, ako kasi kahit i-bash mo ko, tirahin mo ko, I normally wouldn't even file any case against you kasi nga bahagi yan ng proseso ng pakikipagdiskurso, hindi ba? Yung kalayaang mamahayag. But if you're the person, the type of this person who would want to salvage your reputation or who want to teach the other person a lesson, then you can these options are available to you. Pwede mo silang idemanda.
Wow.
Okay.
At saka 200 pesos. Kasi may
Ano
50,000 may 50,000 negative comments sa page ko dati. So, times 200.
Pwede.
Wow!
Pwede.
Sayang!
Yung
Okay.
attorney mo,
Ngayon, alam mo na.
Magkano ang fee mo? Magkano bayad mo?
Magkano kikitain mo ulit? Magkano kikitain
10
mo?
million daw.
10 million? Ano na lang, contingency tayo, 50%, tig 5 tayo. Umpisa na natin.
Okay. Off-air na natin gawin yung ating mga business transactions dito. Let's proceed to our next question. We have a question for Nicole naman, how to handle depression from cyberbullying. I'm not sure if this is up your alley, but maybe you have something to say about this. No?
I'd rather ask our influencers.
All right. Okay, so Philip, is there anything that you want to... do you have an answer to this question?
For me, talk to the right people talaga. Talk to the right people, your closest circle.
Okay.
DJ,
Sorry, masyado bang short? Masyado bang lightning niya?
Okay lang. Hindi ko naramdaman.
Kasi
Sa akin,
anyway, DJ Luni.
Sa akin, lang talaga. Kailangan mo i-command yung utak mo na hindi pansinin yung nagbibigay sa'yo ng ganong klaseng energy. Kumbaga, do not let your mind or do not let your body control your mind. You need to let your brain control your body. So pag sinasabi ng katawan mo na tingnan mo yung Twitter at lahat-lahat, kailangan mo i-command yung katawan mo na hindi ako manonood. Kailangan sumunod ka sa akin para gagawin mong aso yung katawan mo. Kasi alam mo na yung mga bagay na yun yung nagpapadepress sa'yo. So pag sinabi mo kasi sa aso na sit, mag-uupo talaga siya, di ba? So minsan kasi yung katawan natin is parang naging sinusundan na yung routine pang araw-araw, which is yun yung parang nagkukose na maaalala mo ulit yung mga bagay na magpapadown sa'yo. So kailangan mong iwas instantly yung
Okay. So pag nakaranas ka ng depression, sabihin mo lang sa sarili mo, don't be depressed. Parang gano'n.
Yes. Tama yun kay Philip na talagang family talaga yung number one. Hindi man nila mabibigyan ng sagot, pero yung comfort na mabibigay nila sa'yo yung pinaka-the best na sagot doon.
All right. Okay, I think we have some more questions. Our next question, ayan, paki-flash po na ating next question. Okay.
Dave Mangiba.
Yes.
Yan. Question po to any of the speaker, when is the right time to respond? Hintayin pa ba na mag-lay low muna yung issue or should they strike the pan while it's hot? Siguro kay Miss Nicole, no?
For me, it depends. Parang what kind of conversation do you want to create when you respond, di ba? Na syempre parang minsan others would just say, just let it go, mamamatay din yung issue. Pero minsan kasi kung valid yung topic, I think we just have to be mindful what kind of conversation do you create out of it. Ako lang yung suggestion ko parate when it comes to this is before we make judgments, we first ask questions. Kasi baka minsan na misinterpret mo lang yung sinabi sa'yo sa Twitter. So parang feeling ko, ang daming Facebook fights na pwede namang hindi nangyari kung merong isang tao na nagsabi, what do you mean? Tapos nilinaw, tapos okay na, hindi na sumama yung buong barangay doon sa away, di ba? So, I think the intervention, kung meron mang issue online, sana yung approach is, how can we make this conversation enriching for us all rather than make the conversation toxic for everybody?
Yes, depende rin kasi sa sasabihin. Malay mo, pang comment lang naman, bobo ka. Tapos maghintay ka 1 week. Hoy, hindi ko pa rin nakakalimutan yung sinabi sa akin 1 week ago na bobo ako.
Yeah.
Pasin mo na. Alright,
Pero,
next. Okay, attorney.
Hindi, gusto ko lang idagdag na kasi bilang isang abogado, I have to say this. Legally kasi may mga bagay na hindi na dapat pinapatulan kasi makakaroon pa ng legal na implikasyon. So kung yung nang babash sa'yo, tinitira ka lang, sinisira ka lang for no reason at all, trying to provoke you, nadidignify lang yan pag sinasagot mo Ang rule of thumb is that respond to a question that is legitimate, that would open some opportunity for discussion and discourse, na pwede kang magpaliwanag. Pero kung ang sistema, tinitira ka lang talaga na sobrang unjustified yung attack, wag mo nang sagutin kasi humahaba lang at nadidignify. So yun normally ang sinasuggest ng mga tao na dapat nating gawin at iwasan.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, attorney. We have a last question, no? Last question from our round of questions. And I believe this is for, let me see. Ayan, for attorney. How long would it take for a cyber libel case to roll, especially in this time of the pandemic? Oh, may balak ata si...
Parang may kaaway to
Tapos gagawin ba siya online? Oh, ayan. Nagkonsulta na po sa inyo, attorney.
Ayan. Well, actually, bukas naman ang mga piskalya, no? So anytime, you need to get a lawyer who can actually draft the complaint for you. Ipa-file mo yan, tapos may usual route ng hearings yan. Dapat mga 3 buwan, tapos na yan, and then mapupunta na sa korte. Pag napunta sa korte yan, may warrant of arrest, so magbe-bail yung kalaban, maghi-hearing. So yung tagal, depende dun sa abogado, depende sa circumstansya, depende din dun sa case dockets. Minsan kasi yung korte, libo-libo yung kaso niya. So ang tagal ng mga kaso, but ultimately, at the end of the day, hindi naman yan question ng haba, kagaya ng ibang mga bagay. Question niya ng laman at kumbaga ng efficiency. So kung may karapatan ka, ituloy mo lang, ilaban mo lang, and you have all the right to do that.
Okay, thank you, attorney. Maraming salamat sa lahat ng mga nagtanong, no? But we would like to ask a final question for our guests. Any last
Yeah.
words? Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
go Cheska.
James. Okay. Any last words to those who want to speak out pero natatakot sa pwedeng sabihin ng mga taong nakapaligid sa kanila? Maybe we can start with Nicole.
Ano ulit yung question? If I
Sorry.
want to speak out, pero natatakot.
What
Sorry.
is your message to those who want to speak out, who want to express their opinion
Okay.
online but are afraid to do so because nga of this trend ng
Baka
cancel
mabully.
culture? Oo, takot sila mabully.
Yeah. Oo, I think I also, parang siguro this is also my chance to clarify what I said earlier, na staying silent is a privilege. Pero, I mean, real talk na rin, di ba? Alam natin yung konteksto ng lipunan natin ngayon, na pag meron kang sinabing masama, pwede kang kasuhan, pwede kang gawa ng kwento, pwede silang maglabas ng imbentong sex tape. Why did I say this? Because this happened to Senator De Lima, right? So kung pwede siyang mangyari sa mga makapangyarihang tao, pwede siyang mangyari sa kahit ordinaryong Pilipino. So I think I just want to qualify my statement na yes, we have to speak out. Yes, we shouldn't be afraid. Yes, there's freedom of expression. But I'm also very aware of the political context of the country right now. And then the last point I just want to say is that I think we just have to learn how to learn together. Na kung meron mang cancel culture, woke culture, call-out culture, I think ang pinaka-importanting message lang naman ito is that sana matuto tayo na matuto from each other. And I think that's how we can enrich our conversations online.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Si attorney.
Well, para sa akin yung susi kasi ng survival, di ba? Lies in ability to adapt eh. So bago itong mga pananaw na ito, bagong paradigm, we have this woke culture, cancel culture, and we're still trying to navigate our course, so to speak. So habang ginagawa natin ito, patuloy lang na magmahal, magpahalaga, let us be careful, wag tayong mahiyang magsalita, magpahayag, may kalayaan tayo dito. At gusto ko lang linawin, yung wag kang matakot na magsabi ng gusto mong sabihin, laban man o kakampi, sang-ayon man o di sang-ayon. Kasi bahagi ng demokrasya, yung marketplace of ideas, and it's up to people now to choose the ideas that they agree with. So yun lang.
Thank you, attorney. Next naman si Philip.
Siguro coming from my experience lang, I feel like freedom of expression is really nice, but it's really your responsibility, the responsibility mo rin kung paano mo siya sabihin. Kasi coming from what happened to me, siguro I could have said it better. Like what DJ Lunya said kanina, whatever you throw out to the universe would throw back to you. So ako, aminado naman ako na when I said those things, it was kind of wrapped in anger and hate. So when I got the same type of emotion, it's on me. Parang I kind of felt like, galit ako nung sinabi ko yun. So naiintindihan ko yung galit na papunta rin sa akin. So sometimes you really have a valid point and a nice point, but when you wrap it in hate, sometimes you will confuse people because people sometimes they see hate first before the actual message. So yun, responsibility mo to relay your message as clearly as possible. And if given the chance, I would have said it in a different way.
Nice. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Philip. DJ Lunyo, ikaw, ano yung iyong message sa mga gustong mag-speak out pero natatakot sila mabully or ma-cancel?
Sa akin kung unang-una talaga bago ka kasi parati yung ginagawa to before ka magsalita, dasal ka muna. Kasi kailangan mo i-clear yung intentions mo eh. Di ba? Once na kilala mo yung intention mo, once na you know na wala kang maapakang tao, ito yung pananaw mo. So, labas lang, di ba? Pero yun nga, sabi nga, yun nangyayari is lahat pwede kang tirahin, lahat pwede kang ibuli, lahat pwede kang ibasa kung ano yung iniisip mo, ano yung gusto mong sabihin. But at the end of the day, at least nalabas mo kung ano yung gusto mong sabihin. Kumbaga maluwag siya sa puso mo. Kumbaga I believe kung meron ka namang great intentions, hindi ka naman ilalagay dun sa maling landas eh. Tsaka yun, basta sa akin lang din, kumbaga last words ko lang din sa mga nanonood is the fact na hindi ko na binibigyan yung ibang tao ng right na para pasain ako or para palungkutin ako or para i-down ako or para i-bash ako. Mas magaan yung buhay, mas magaan yung pang-araw-araw kasi ikaw yung dapat yung may control nun, hindi yung ibang tao. So, kung may bash na tinatapon sa'yo, alam mo na bash yan. So, aware ka na bash yan. So, do not take it. Kumbaga dito ka sa kung saan lang masaya and positive.
All right. Thank you so much sa ating mga guests.
Thank
Napakadami kong natutunan ngayong gabi. Sana ikaw, James, marami ka rin natutunan ngayong gabi.
Yes, marami akong natutunan from the very first na nagsalita si Miss Nicole. Actually, itong short highlight na ibibigay ko is, uhugutin ko dun sa unang sinabi ni Miss Nicole na mas tumibay lang kasi yung paniniwala ko na hindi talaga nakakabuti yung cancel culture dahil kinakancel natin yung pagkakataong magbago ng isang tao na sinusubukan natin i-cancel. At kung hindi ka naman talaga follower ng gusto mo i-cancel, katulad sinabi ko kanina, wala naman ito maging bearing dun sa following niya Tsaka mas mabuting gawin na lang natin tong call out culture para magsilbing check and balance to dun sa mga nagagawang mali ng mga kinikilala nating celebrities. At saka para naman sa mga celebrities and influencers and personalities, wag nyo naman din disregard as haters yung mga boses ng mga netizens, lalo-lalo na kung nanggagaling ito sa boses ng milyon-milyon. Dahil kasi pag ginawa natin ito, kinakancel lang din natin yung pagkakataon na magbago tayo. Gamitin natin ito para mas improve yung sarili natin. Total, ito rin naman yung dahilan kung bakit kayo naging celebrities Kaya let's use this platform, this powerful platform to empower each other. Sabi nga ni DJ Lunyo, di ba, umugot kayo dun sa positive energy. Parang si Goku, di ba? Natalo niya si Goku dahil binigyan siya ng energy ng lahat ng tao. So ganun din, bigyan natin lahat ng energy, lahat ng tao.
Yes. Galing, James!
Yes, kami-hami wave yan
Kinamihami mo yung synthesis mo, no? All right, ayun, unfortunately, our show has come to a close. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat na nanood at nag-comment at nagtanong. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight. Sana may natutunan kayo. Sa lahat ng ating mga, yes.
Gusto ko lang din tapusin itong program natin with the cheers. Cheers tayo sa lahat ng mga guests natin.
Cover ng
para
water
Miss Nicole inspired.
Yeah, para
Hydrate daw, sabi ni Miss Nicole.
Inspired.
Gin to, gin.
Ay, gin ba?
Ayan sila.
Audience natin. Ayan, okay. All right. Well, anyway, cheers sa inyong lahat, no? At sa ating mga natutunan tonight, sana'y nalinawan tayo kung tunay nga bang toxic na ang environment sa ating mga social media. Nabanggit na sabay-sabay ang nagsisilabas sa mga fake news, at talamak na ang Crashtalkan, at syempre trash hindi crash. At syempre ang widespread ng cyberbullying at cancel culture. Dahil dito, ating sikapin na baguhin ang mundo ng social media by applying the things that we have learned from this discussion. Hopefully you learned something from this discussion. It is our responsibility, mga ka-PF, to know our limits tuwing naglalabas tayo ng saloobin sa mundo ng internet upang mas masigurong magagampanan natin ang ating tungkulin as responsible netizens. Lagi nating itatak sa ating isip na ang dapat na punto ng technology ay para sa kabutihan. Always put in mind the use of tech for good para tulong-tulong nating matupad ang ating hangarin at magkaroon ng isang responsible DigiNation. Once again, maraming salamat sa inyong lahat at sa ating mga guests. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your stories and all of your insights. At maraming salamat, James. No? Every episode, nag-e-effort ka talaga sa outfit mo. Akmang-akma siya sa ating topic. Ang galing. Ayan.
And,
yes, James.
Promote ko na rin Cool Pals sa Spotify. Pakinggan nyo, very informative din, katulad ng Pinas Forward. And after nito, nasa Kumu kami, magpapa-games kami.
Ayun, may pag-games. Okay, so siyahan, no, after this learning experience. Ayan, kung may mga topics or issues kayo or subjects na gusto nyo pag-usapan, please feel free to comment them down below at ituloy natin ang ating usapan. Alam ko marami sa inyong nabitin dahil ako nabitin din. Ang dami ko pang gustong pag-usapan. Ituloy natin yan sa ating Facebook group. Ayan, Philip, Dabo ko niya, baka DJ Lunyo, bago gusto nyo sumali, meron kaming Facebook group. Just search for Online Crashtalkan Community. Let's continue our discussion there. That I think we are on to something here. At huwag kalimutan i-like at i-follow ang aming page sa Pinas Forward PH. Nasa YouTube na rin kami at nasa Twitter at nasa Instagram. Ayan, we'll see you in our next episode. Once again, my name is Cheska. Thank you, everyone. Good night!
Good night!
Bye!
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.